Hello there, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this from. For people who are joining us from GMT plus one time zone, or people who are joining us from Eastern time and Central time, good afternoon, good evening to you. And you are welcome again to another beautiful live session. Today is another special time where we are combining, a beautiful masterclass and of course a special book launch again. Yes, a special book launch again. So this is that session where if you are married or you're thinking of getting married, then you just have to be part of this particular session that we are hosting today. Right? So today we'll be having a beautiful conversation on creating a successful business partnership, how to do that as married couples, especially in the context of the United States or North America, but the realities, the practical insights that will be shared in this session are relatable to anybody that is married or thinking to get married. And this is on the heels of the new book that Dr. Lilly Mbinglo just launched, which is titled From Vows to Ventures: How to Create a Successful Business Partnership for Married Couples. So if you're excited and you're part of being here today, go ahead in the chat box. Let us know where you're joining us from and possibly your expectations for the next 1 hour or so that we will be having this incredible conversation. All right. So get set for this time. Trust me, your life will never remain the same. Your family, your marriage will never remain the same, because you see, there are some things in this life. There is a body of knowledge, there's a body of information that when you get exposed to, it just changes your life for good. And this is one of those, knowledge or body of knowledge that you need to be part of. If you're one of those people that you are very conscious, you are growth oriented in terms of how can I build wealth and prosperity for my family in partnership with my spouse, then this particular session is for you and will create a life-changing experience. And again, this is on the heels of the new book. In short, you guys are the first to be able to order this book today. All right. On the heels of this new book, of course, From Vows to Ventures: Creating a Successful Business Partnership for Married Couples. And of course, the person, the brains behind this book, this initiative, this strategic insights, and so on, is Dr. Lilly Mbinglo. And I'm going to bring her on stage as we get a deep dive into this beautiful experience. Hello, Dr. Lilly. Good
Hey, Dr.
afternoon
Joyford.
and welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's so good to be here. So
Awesome.
excited too to be here.
Awesome. Good to have you. All right, guys. See, before we get into picking Dr. Lily's brains, and we may have new people here and you don't know who this lady is, and you may be wondering, why the hell should I spend my next 60 minutes listening to her? All right, so let me convince you, let me persuade you, so that you should sit tight, get a cup of coffee, cross your leg, and just enjoy this time that we're going to have together. So Dr. Lilly is a licensed, she's not just a licensed CPA, she's that person that when she is in an industry, she's leading that industry, right? So she's a licensed industry leading CPA with extensive experience. And not just that, the beauty about her is that she is also in academia. She's an accounting professor with Regent University, and then runs her own CPA firm known as the ARC. No better person to listen to than somebody who understands how to balance academia and, of course, the professional marketplace in that. And she is a TEDx speaker and, of course, a published author. I think this is what your fifth book that you have published so far. So she's constantly, putting us on the edges, on our feet, and so on. And her experience as an expert and strategist, she served both individuals, SMEs, non-profit organizations across the United States, and so on. So she has this practical, real-life experience that she can share with everybody. And she was recognized as among the top 25 thought leaders in the United States in finance by Thinker 360, and recently recognized among the top 100 thought leaders in the year 2025 in the whole United States of America, right? So she deserves to share with you what you've been learning today. And of course, the firm that she runs has been rated and recognized, ranked number one in Virginia, ranked as the number one certified public accountants in Chesapeake in Virginia by Business Rate, and ranked number one best accounting firm in Chesapeake again by 3 best rated. And so I could go on and on and on. And 2 weeks ago, we were launching her book, How to Hire Your Kids Save Taxes, and of course, Build a Legacy. And the next week after that show, the book became number one on the small business taxes, corporate taxes. The book was just hitting numbers among the newest release on Amazon, and that just shows the incredible stuff. And this one that just came on Amazon a few days ago, it was already on number 50, top 50 on the books recommended for people in non-profit sectors and businesses, actually, just like in 3 days of launching the book. That is the beauty of what we are talking about. All right, so again, we are here, so please stack your bay and your bow to join me here. If you have one guy that has been running after you and I want to marry you, get him here. You have a lady you are thinking of getting married, get her here right now, so that you guys start having a strategic webinar as far as your future family is concerned.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Lilly, we are here because you have released an incredible book, and I'm going to be picking your brains on this particular book. I've spent some time to go through this book as much as possible to understand how to ask the questions I believe that people would like to get answers to. So we see people from Zurich, we see Stacy, we see Book Firm from Durban, I think that's South Africa. All right, so that is so good, and many people joining already. Facebook and LinkedIn. We're good to see you all here right now. All right, so let's get into it because Dr. Lilly has a lot to share.
Yes.
But let me give you heads up. The only best you can get her mind at this point in time regarding this, how to move from just saying, yes, I do, during your vows and love, to building something that can make your family stable and established, is for you to order her recent book, From Vows to Ventures. How can you partner as a couple to build a thriving, profitable business? All right, Dr. Lilly, my first question to you. I think around page 5 in the introductory pages of this book, you made a very important statement, and you said, when marriage and business collide, it can be magical or mercy. You see, my mind, I pick a lot of patterns, right? So some words just make me just, this is so good, right? So there are some sentences I see, I just start laughing alone, right? So he said, when marriage and business collide, it can become a magical experience for the family, or it can become a messy, very messy experience. Now, you can only make this kind of introductory statements in the book. Either you have had a personal experience, or you have worked with a couple as a CPA and you have seen these both sides of the story. So the question to you is, how did your personal experience or what you have experienced others go through as a CPA, how did that shape the opening statement of this book, and why this book?
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. First of all, this has been incredible. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for us having this time together. And I think you hit right on it. Because for me, this was beyond even a personal experience, right? Because if you go off to write a book on personal experience, there's a likelihood that there might be a very limited perspective. This comes from years and years of working with married couples who own businesses together, really getting to see both sides of the coin, right? Seeing the ones that are thriving and because of the things that they have put in place, and seeing the ones that are struggling, where it's really affecting their marriage to the point where they are having to separate from each other even. Can you imagine? So I have seen this for so many years, and this had been in my heart for a while, because I believe in the power of the union of man and wife. I really, really believe in that. I grew up in a home where I saw my parents work so well together, and after seeing the way some couples were struggling, I believe it was paramount. In fact, it was urgent for me to be able to put a guide together for couples who are thinking about starting a business, those that are already in a business, those whose businesses are struggling and is impacting their marriage, and those who may not even want to go into business, right? It became almost an urgent thing for me to have to do. And that was what drove me to this point where I was like, okay, let's give them some guidance. Let's make sure that the people that have come together in love and want to build something that would outlive them have the tools to do so effectively without it costing them their relationship and the beautiful covenant of matrimony that they have both come into. So that's how we got here.
That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. And that, the way you ended, it will lead me to my next question. I was just thinking, because in that particular book, Vows to Ventures, guys, you just need to order that book on Amazon. It's so good. Every line carries weight, carries insight. Every line is useful for every couple. Now, in that book, you said love brought you together, and I like the way you wrote that book. It's like a conversation, right? It's like if you the way I'm asking the questions. It's just like you are talking to me, right? So it's like you're talking to me, my wife and I. So so that's one thing I love about the book. So it's the tone, the language structure. I was literally having an exchange with you, right? So you said love brought you together. Your vision will take you further.
Yes.
Now, if you read any great leadership book, either John C. Maxwell, Miles Monroe, any leadership guru, they will tell you how anything that will go far and change generations, that thing must have a vision attached to it. And even God is a visionary God. I know the plans I have for you, right? So you made that statement, and it was like, hey, guys, loving is not enough. You have to move from romance to enterprise, more from romance to vision. So you said your love brought you together. Your vision will take you further. Now, what does that vision looks like in practice for couples who are starting out?
Oh my God, that is a good one. Don't you ask some good questions. Sometimes I'm like, I want to enter this your brain, eh? Oh, such a good one. So for anyone who is watching this, we have to go back to the basics, okay? It's so important for you as an individual, no matter what you do, always figure out what your purpose is in this life, okay? And at the right time, when God finally sends you a person, it's important for you to know exactly where you're headed to. It's important for you to understand why God brought you guys together and what you're supposed to accomplish together as a couple. Because the worst thing that can happen to a couple is for them to just be together for the sake of love without understanding the bigger purpose that God wants to accomplish through them. Okay. So now once you have a vision, once you have understood the purpose of that relationship and you have a vision of where you want to go, it helps you literally in everything that you do in your relationship to be more focused, to be more structured, to be able to know who has to be in your life as a couple, what to tolerate, books to read, how to raise your kids, and things like that. So it's very crucial for every couple to have a vision of where they're headed to. Now, maybe when you came together, you didn't have that foundation. You didn't have that understanding. But you guys know we want to do more. Maybe we want to start a business. We want to make more money. We want to be able to leave a legacy for our kids. That's a good starting point. So you sit together and you have that conversation. What does it look like? When we say we want to make more money, how much is more money? Now, if we're even blessed with the money, what do we do with the money? If we want to build a legacy, what does that look like? Is it legacy in creating a company for our kids? Or is it legacy in raising our kids to become people that are leaders, that can be independent minds on their own? What does that look like? Once you have been able to craft that vision and you have a good understanding, everything else starts to fall in place from there. You remember, like I said in the book, it's not everybody wants to start a business. Maybe two of you, you're being led to start a nonprofit. But if there's no clarity in vision, you might go and start a business. And then what will happen now is your marriage is going to suffer because you're going to be strained, and all of those things. And then one other beautiful thing about a vision is it allows you to examine your strengths and your weaknesses. Because when you know where you're trying to go, now you can ask yourself, what do we have to make that happen? And what do we lack? And what do we need to bring on? Exactly. Is it in terms of skill set? Is it in terms of knowledge? Is it resources and all of that? But if you don't have a vision and an understanding of where you're headed to, you won't even know if you have what it takes to get there, right? How would you even know if you got there? So vision is incredible, dog. And I think it's also a beautiful thing and a gift the couple should give to each other, where they have that sense of purpose that is an alignment for why God brought them together. And it gives them a drive to wake up. Having kids and just working and paying bills is not enough. There should be a sense of fulfillment that comes from being married to this person that God chose for you. That is, it comes from being able to fulfill this purpose, align with this vision, and just doing so much more. Yeah.
Exactly. That is so good. That is so good. You answered and went straight to my next question, so I will not ask it again. But my next question should have, because in the book you did something incredible where you spent some time and you listed questions that couples can ask each other before starting a business. And as a couple and you're thinking of starting a business, or even if you have started, when you get that book, it is one of those things you can do on a date, right? And you, apart from just sitting and doing stuff, get that book, take that book along with you as you are dating tool, and just ask each other the questions from that particular book. I am telling you, it will create a major shift in what you are building together as a couple. Again, everybody, you're welcome. This is, a live webinar masterclass / book launch, where we are talking on creating a successful business partnership for married couples. And this is as a result of Dr. Lilly's new book that just came out on Amazon, like literally a few days ago, From Vows to Ventures. In my mind, I keep seeing from romance to enterprise. So,
I like that. Look at that. Yes.
Right, so you're more from I love you to what, building. So balance the two. Balance the two. Yes. It will be incredible. So go ahead, please give us a shout out so that we can give you a presidential shout out. All right. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Book Firm. Thank you, 4 Billionaires. All right. We're seeing that questions are. Please drop in your questions, and I will happily throw your questions to Dr. Lilly as we proceed. So I am laying the groundwork with Dr. Lilly before we get into the more technical things like, a structure, taxes, those kind of things. Let's lay the groundwork. And good news, today and tomorrow is for vows and ventures. All right. So don't miss out tomorrow, same time, 3:30 Eastern time, and of course, local time in Cameroon for those who are joining in from Cameroon. I think that's 8:30. So you will not definitely want to miss this. All right. In I think the chapter 1 of that book is The Power of Partnership.
Yes.
And it's a very, very powerful chapter to lay a strong foundation for anybody reading that particular book. And in that chapter, one thing that you were communicating in that chapter is that love may bring couples together, but structures will keep them going. I think that was so powerful because emotions cannot take you that far.
Oh, no.
Emotions cannot take you that far. The person you love, you need to come to a point where you need to make the decision that is this one. Whether I feel like it or not, it is this one. If not, your emotions will betray you someday, right? So you said that love may bring people together, but it is structure that keeps them going. Now, from your experience of working with couples running a business, why is structure often the missing piece in a couple-led business?
Oh, I love that. Oh, man, that's such a good one. And before I answer, I just want to point out something, Doug. The workbook is going to be coming out with those questions that we have to help couples. So I am very excited about that because you did mention about the questions that they can take on dates. And that's our hope, that they can use this and really get to know each other. Now, to your question about structure, Doug, from working with so many couples, what I have learned is the reason there's a challenge with structure is because for the most part, we hardly need structure to fall in love.
Exactly.
Right? You actually don't even need structure to decide who you want to marry. A lot of times it's usually first a posture of the heart, right? Yeah. And then you do logic. It makes sense. This person has these values. I have these values. We can come together. We can get married. Now, the difference is when you come into the business world, you cannot do everything by your heart, by you just being logical. There has to be systems in place. Because when you go into a business, not only are you trying to create something for you, you want to serve a marketplace. Exactly. The marketplace does not care the posture of your heart. The market wants value in exchange of the money that they are going to give you. And so what usually happens to a lot of couples is because their lives have been formed by how they feel, how they love each other, trying to raise kids, do these things that bring them joy and fulfillment from a family standpoint. When they set up a business, it can be a struggle for them because they think that you can just show up to work and make decisions based on how you feel. Because we had a fight at home, now I don't want to talk to you, I don't need to show up to the meeting. It doesn't work that way. So now when you're going into business, you do have to set structures. You do have to set boundaries. In fact, as a matter of fact, you even have to put structures in place to protect your marriage from your business and your business from your marriage. And you need structure to be able to do that because the lack of structure means these things will commingle and your results will be really bad. The ones that are able to accomplish results are those that are able to separate family from business. One thing about a family unit, for those of us that are Christians, is that the man is the head of the family, and then you have the wife, and then you have the kids, right? When we come to business, we have to go by competence. And so sometimes if we don't put systems in place for things like decision making to be entrusted to the person that has the competence, you run the risk of letting an incompetent person lead in a certain position just because they might be doing it well at home. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so when you set up a business, in order to thrive and succeed, you need structure. You need structure that allows you to build something that you can function in. You can serve the marketplace with high value. The marketplace will reward you with the resources that you're asking, with the money that you're asking for. And you in turn can put that into your marriage and have a happy home where you can be able to live the life that you do want to live for yourself and live the legacy you want for your kids. Without structure, you're going to struggle. And I've seen it happen. It costs so many people's marriages when they have no structures, when they have no boundaries. You know, one thing with structures is that it creates boundary. Because when you put a structure in place, there's a boundary, which means there are certain things that cannot just come in at any point in time, right? You have to follow a certain procedure or a certain order. So that's the beauty of having structure. Then you get to build something that can outlive you, because you're not letting your emotions lead. You're not letting your traditional home structures lead. You're going by what is right by the business, what will make you to be more efficient for the marketplace and will cause you to deliver value that the market will and reward you, so that you can go home and have the life that you do deserve and create the legacy that you want to create for your kids.
Beautiful. That is so good. People, you see why you just have to. We are not even going up to 2% of any of these questions I'm trying to ask, right? So you can only get deeper and deeper into this if you get the book. So go on Amazon, order the book from Vows to Ventures. If you are watching right now or even later, you can just scan the QR code on your screen and order the book. All right. And the good news is that you also get to ask Dr. Lilly questions. If you are thinking as a couple and you feel confused after going through the book, she's so gracious that she can provide you 15 minutes free consulting. So get the email or the phone number, and you never know when you're going to need her, right? And just reach out to her, and she will happily see to touch her heart. Just grab the book and attach the email. Right? She will give you priority access.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Now in chapter 1 of this book, there's a subtopic I like in that chapter 1, known as purpose over profit. So it's a very nice subheading over that in that chapter 1. And a very important statement in that chapter that you made under that purpose over profit is, when purpose leads, profit follows.
Yes.
That's so powerful, right? Because there are just some things in this life that when you have, money follows you.
Yes.
Somebody said that really we are not created to chase after money. We are created to become, and then money
chases us.
Right. And that's what you said. You're literally saying that for couples, for married people, when purpose leads in your marriage, when purpose leads in your family, profit will begin to follow. Now,
absolutely,
in your work as a CPA, because you have written this book a lot from your experience, in your work as a CPA, how do you help couples to anchor that partnership in purpose instead of business pressure? Now, why am I asking this question? Because business can be full of so much pressure.
Yes.
And many a times when purpose is not there, they will run from pressure and they can burn out and it can affect the marriage as a whole.
Absolutely.
So, from experience, you have said, you're recommending in that book that, hey, if you're running a business, let purpose lead above profit.
Yes.
So how can you help a young couple right now thinking of starting a business together? What can you tell them that can help them anchor that partnership in purpose and not just typical, revenue, profit pressure, sales pressure, and so on?
I love that, Doc. I really, really love that. And I think when I started, one of the first questions you asked me earlier, which I will go back to touch again, was you need to understand what the purpose for your union is. If you just get married to someone because you like them and you don't see a bigger picture and you don't understand why God brought you guys together, you're going to struggle, right? And so one of the things that I would advise a young couple starting out is, first sit down and I'll ask them individually, do you know why you're here? Do you know why God created you, put you in this generation, in this time period that you're here? Do you know where you're going to? Because first, it must be clear from an individual standpoint.
Absolutely.
Right? Before it is clear as a couple. Once they themselves can define that for themselves, and then you ask them, where do you see your relationship going to? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what do you want your union to be remembered for? And a lot of times when people start to talk like that, then they start to say, you know what, we want to be remembered as the couple that build businesses. We want to be remembered as the couple that raise powerful, strong kids. Some people will tell you we went through different experiences in our lives. We don't want it to repeat itself. Some people are coming from a place of trauma and they want to leave behind a legacy that helps others heal. Now, once they start to state that, it becomes very clear that they're on the same page, because now they start to see the reason why God had to bring them together. And you know, one beautiful thing about purpose, all of a sudden now you start to see how each other's strengths align, right? So, and let me use practical examples, because sometimes when we say these things, I want to bring it home. For example, you have a person that God has called to be a leader politically, okay? When he finally meets a wife, if you notice, most of the wives, they are people that are usually very learned. They are very good with speaking. They have very strong skill sets when it comes to interacting with people, right? Now, that's just one set. You could still have a person who just needs a wife that can hold the family down because they have been graced to pursue. But what I'm saying is, because they understand that as a union, they are supposed to lead in the political space. They don't rival each other in what they're supposed to do. They look at their strengths. Now, he's good with this. This is what he's been called to do. As a help to him, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Either I'm going to be running his campaigns because I'm good in marketing, I'm good with public speaking or not, or I'm just going to make sure that the kids are protected so that they don't have to be in the media, so he can focus on what he's doing. Whatever it is your skill set. But because now you have an understanding as a family that this is what you're supposed to be doing, it becomes easier now for you to support each other. Now, let's come into business. It's the same thing, right? If we say, okay, our goal in business is that we want to be able to set up home healthcare businesses, because growing up, our parents were struggling to take care of our grandparents, and we want to be able to build businesses, home healthcare businesses where older people have a safe place to go to. We want this home healthcare to be remembered this way, and this is the legacy we want to pass to future generations, that they should put things in place to care for their aging population. You see how that clarity in terms of purpose, based on their experiences, which has given them now this clarity on purpose, now they start to put forces together. It doesn't matter what the stress is in business, whether the bank is refusing to give them a loan, whether a client is suing them, they don't lose the whole idea of why they came into business. They came there because there's something that they are supposed to create for future generations to benefit from, which is put a system in place to care for your aging population. You see, just with that clarity in purpose, there is no storm that can come against them. There's that they will not be able to face together. You see. So that is what I would tell a young couple. Start by asking yourself, you as the individual, who are you? Why are you here? And then now as a couple, what is it that you want to be remembered for? And once you have that clarity, you start to see how your strengths come into place so well. Doc, I'll tell you, when a couple operates in purpose, the way they work well together, you will be surprised. You know, all of a sudden, everyone knows where they fit. Nobody is trying to challenge the other person. When you see things like that happening, it's because they don't have understanding. They're still trying to operate from a me perspective. But when you're working together to fulfill a purpose for a family, self dies and it becomes the drive for the greater good, the work for the greater good. And it's really my hope that more and more couples can gain that insight of where they are going to. Even if you're young, so long as you know 30 years from now, this is what I want us to be remembered for, you always take the right steps in building towards that. If you're going to go back to school, you know exactly what you're going to study. Your wife is going to go back to school. She knows exactly what she's going to study. If you guys are going to make friends with certain people or allow people into your spaces, you know who you're going to allow. You know the kind of books that you're going to read as a couple. You know the kind of education that your kids need to have if you have to bring them on board to your business. That's the power of understanding the purpose for your union.
Yeah. That is so good. That is so good. You know, the last thing that you said about kids, you know, a friend were doing some research about elite families and wealthy families, and then we just laughed and said that only the middle class and the poor families allow their kids to read anything.
Yes.
You know that in the elite families like the Rothschild, the Rockefellers, the Waltons, who own the Walmart, the Donald Trumps, their kids read what they want.
Yes. Yes.
because of the purpose of the family,
Yes. Yes.
because of the legacy. That's why you see these families hundreds of years after, they are
Yes.
still they're still forces in the society,
Yes.
because two people,
Mm-hmm.
a mother and a father,
Yes.
came together and
Yes.
established that, you know what, we're going to build a family that can be a voice in generations and even generations to come. Now,
Absolutely.
so people, you just have to get Vows to Ventures book on
Yes.
Amazon, right?
Yes.
And there's one thing that you did on this book that is so incredible, which are the conversation starters that people or couples can go through. You
Yes.
say you call it as conversation starters for you and your spouse. So
Yes.
after each chapter, Dr. Lee has created conversation starters that you can do over dinner, over a dating,
Yes.
dating time or picnic. I don't know, but those times that you guys can have those proper conversations, like in chapter one,
Mm-hmm.
some of these questions are: why do we want to go into business together?
Yes.
What is the vision behind the business?
Yes.
Now, the third question is: how can we ensure our marriage remains a priority even
Mm-hmm.
as we build our
Yes.
business? Now, these questions are so good. So, chapter one has 5 questions, and I've
Mm-hmm.
just read just 2. Look, the 2 are so heavy, and if any couple can sit on these questions and really interpret them, and it can help them to come out with that vision clearly,
Absolutely.
not an abstract vision, and a vision that came out from an intimate conversation,
Yes.
not a vision that somebody sat alone and
Yes.
decided to create, right? And
Mm.
that's what brings collective participation.
Yes.
And I think that's what you are trying to achieve here.
Yes.
Bring couples into a place where they can be collective participation, because they will feel that, you know what, we sat together on
Yes.
a special date and we
Yes.
created this,
Yes.
right? So as I was just reading through this particular question, something came to my mind. I was like, couples who are not talking before me start talking after reading the book.
Yes. They will. Oh yes, they will. Couples that don't talk with that, because the book is meant to create engagement between them, and the
Exactly.
stuff that they'll be able to build together,
Yeah.
out of this world. Yeah.
Yeah. Marriages that had poor communication,
They better get the book. They'll start talking.
exactly. Business may bring them together to
Yes.
that place of communication. Now, I
Yes.
want to jump to chapter 2, and then we can try to answer some questions from the community. And chapter 2, you're talking about the benefits and the challenges of doing business with your spouse. And I think that is very important, so that before
Yes.
you guys are getting into it, you know that this path of life, like every other path in life, carries both the benefits and the
Absolutely.
challenges, or the advantages and the disadvantages of doing business with your spouse.
Absolutely.
And in one of the paragraphs in that chapter 2, you said business doesn't fix what is broken in
Yes.
a relationship. It
Yes.
exposes it. I shouted alone. I'm like, business. And you know why I shouted? Because I do a lot of consulting for entrepreneurs, and I've seen business expose people.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody who thought that he was strong. Oh,
Mhm.
business revealed that you are not that strong.
Yes.
Or somebody who thought that was discipline with money. It was
Yes.
just poverty that made him think that. He never had money yet. I
Mhm.
know guys that started cheating on their spouse because their business broke through. Right?
Yes.
And he said, this guy calls me JB. JB, see, I know they lie you. I know they know that they can't see. Right? So business exposed himself to himself. So
Yeah.
this guy was surprised about his character.
Yes. Yes.
Right? That's why I shouted, like, this is so real
It
and
is.
so good.
It
So
is.
you are saying in this chapter 2 that, hey, business doesn't fix what is broken in a marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It will only expose
Yes.
what
Yes.
is hidden and broken in that marriage. Now,
Yes.
my question to you, what led you to make this bold statement? Have you seen something from your practice? Can you tell us a
Yes.
story? What made you, because this statement is not, it's not casual. What made
Yes.
you make this statement?
Yes. Oh, Doug, this is incredible. This particular question, because there were a lot of people that I worked with
Mhm,
one to one before I ever maybe met their spouse at a different time. Maybe I would work
mhm,
with a lady before I met the spouse and everything. And prior to starting businesses, these people might have seemed like loving people,
mhm,
but I'll tell you, the insecurities were wild.
mhm, mhm,
And the reason now, and I want to use the example of insecurity, right?
mhm.
Because the thing with insecurity is something that is not written on someone's face,
Exactly.
right? And you might be a woman who loves your husband or a man who loves his wife, and you think, you know what, I'm the most supportive spouse.
Mhm,
Until now, you get into a room and one of you is extremely smart and you had never seen the other person working in that way.
mhm.
And then it causes you now to start feeling less than, to start feeling insignificant, to start feeling small, right? And then you know what when that happens, the person now starts to mess up all the decisions, because
Exactly.
it's almost like, because it didn't come from them and they never knew that this spouse that all they saw, because most people just go to work and come back. Their spouses have not seen them in professional life.
Exactly.
When they get
Exactly.
into business and this person brings their strength and the other person comes and all of a sudden it's like, wait, they are really smart. And
Mhm.
instead of being humble enough to say, you know what, babe, wow, let's tap into this. Instead, their ego now is getting bruised. And then now
Mhm.
they start to counter every decision or suggestion from the other person.
Mhm.
And I've seen this happen not once, not twice, too many
Yeah.
times. I've
Mhm.
actually seen where someone has walked out of their marriage because once they started building their business together, they just realized that all the promises their spouse was giving to them were not true. Because now
Mhm.
everything this person used to say they could do, they're here and they can't do it anymore. So that's where
Mhm.
business really exposes what's broken. The thing was always there. You had a spouse that was lazy. You had a spouse
Exactly.
that couldn't deliver. But
Mhm.
you know what? They could always lie because you never saw them in that space where they needed to step up. They needed to deliver value. That's
Mhm.
what business does. Business takes you out of your love fairy tale. Because when you're just at home raising kids, it's so easy to let things just go. And it's easy.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, we're building our family and all of that. Every now and then you might be called to deal with a family illness, a family member who's not well, and those things. But
Mhm.
when it comes to delivering value, at the family level, nobody really needs you to deliver value.
Yeah.
Your wife does not need you to deliver value. Your wife needs you to stand on your word, to be the man you
Mhm.
say you be, to lead the household. But when you're delivering value to the world, your true version comes out. And if there was nothing inside and you have lied to your spouse and created this facade of someone you're not, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what business does.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Mhm.
It's actually not a bad thing.
Yeah.
For couples that truly love each other and want to build something incredible, it gives them the opportunity to see that we have so much growth to do. And if
Mhm.
we hold each other's hands, we can make up for those gaps by acquiring more knowledge, by
Mhm.
strengthening ourselves instead of breaking. When you go into business,
Yeah.
you really get to see each other. It's crazy, but it happens
Yeah.
all the time, dog. So those
Yeah.
that, like I said, it can
Exactly.
become a really beautiful thing if they choose to work together,
Mhm.
if they choose to make up for the guy, if they choose to get my book and read it, or they can
Exactly.
start to
Exactly.
really discredit each other, and the
Mhm.
resentment that could come out of that can just lead the
Yeah.
business to even shut down without going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And there's a whole
Yeah.
section in that chapter too, where you just list all the benefits of doing business
Yes.
together. And I think those benefits are so powerful. Now, I want to jump to the challenges that they should prepare for. And I love that topic so that it is not, it makes it real. It's not
Yes.
a bed of roses. There are unexpected things that are going to arise in future. However,
Yes.
like somebody said, we cannot change the future for the young people. We can
Mhm.
prepare the young people for the future, right? Same
Yes.
for couples. We
Yes.
cannot change the future for them, but
Yes.
through the book and through your expertise, you can prepare the couple for
Yes.
the future challenges.
Yes.
So
Yes.
under this topic, this subtopic in chapter 2, we are talking about the challenges that couples should prepare for when starting a business. One of the things that you mentioned there, or you highlighted, was blurred boundaries.
Yes.
Blurred boundaries.
Yes.
And this is a question I have for you from your experience. And you run a business, you're married, so this is something that you live and you coach and you share.
Yes.
What early boundaries help couples to avoid burnout and pressure? What are those early boundaries that a fresh couple or a couple that they are thinking of venturing into business, what are a few of those early boundaries? From your experience, you have seen that, you know what, if any couple can put these boundaries at the beginning stage of their business partnership, they will not only avoid burnout, but they will protect their marriage altogether.
Yes. Oh, dog. This one is so important. Your first boundary starts by having the right job description. Please have job descriptions.
Wow.
I
didn't see that one coming.
If you don't have job descriptions,
wow.
So that is, in fact, you see this boundary, it cuts across every single thing. When a couple going into business can clearly define what each person will be doing, and how they'll be able to measure that person's productivity and results. Dog, they have saved themselves at least 60% of the headache that will come from running a business together. So starting out, have a detailed job description of what the person is doing. In the job description, what their day-to-day will look like, what they should be handling, what decisions they are in charge of. Now, doesn't mean you can bounce off each other. Exactly. But you see that right there? So it's, let me tell you, one of the biggest problems that couples face in business is that one person always assumes another person is going to do something. And then you have the person who, trusts that the other one who always picks up the slack will keep picking it up. And the person who keeps picking up the slack ends up becoming resentful. But because the marriage is involved, sometimes they're like, okay, I'm just doing it for the family. But not having those clearly defined roles, dog, it brings so much stress down the road, is not worth it. So first thing, job description, okay? Second thing, set time for business meetings.
Awesome.
You see this one, there are people that don't know how to shut off. In fact, for one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do I let my spouse know that when we're home, I just want to be his wife, or I just want to be her husband, right? And it happens sometimes because your business is your life.
Absolutely.
True. There'll be things that you cannot stop talking about, but it's also important to not let your marriage start to suffer just because you're running a business.
Absolutely.
The third thing is always to make sure important things are discussed, things, especially about the business, are discussed in the right settings without involving emotions. And the reason I say this is because sometimes when people don't have set time to have important meetings, you know what happens, Doc? When your spouse will get mad at you at home, then out of anger, they'll call you out for what you did and call you out for also what you did at work.
Yeah.
Or the areas of your inefficiencies at work, or complaints that they had that they never really took the time to tell you. And so being able to have those boundaries, and this one I'm going to share about my husband and I. If it's one thing we don't do, if something is important, we put it on our agenda for our next meeting. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that urgent that cannot wait. The reason is because if we have to talk about, we're all business owners, we all work, we have businesses, and we have businesses together. But we realize that if something comes and you have to have a conversation, the worst thing is doing it when you're in the middle of something else, be it good or bad. I'm telling you, emotion. You want to have time that you have tailored for those conversations, because when you come in with an open mind, you come in prepared. You come in ready to be objective about the conversation. But if you decide to just talk about anything, anytime, you're going to say hurtful things. You're going to say things sometimes without even having a solution to it. And then you've just amplified a small problem because of the wrong time that you had the conversation. So these are some of those really important boundaries that you need to have. And then the last one is really being able to separate roles at home and roles from the business. So I have seen situations where you can have a husband who is such a great leader at home, right? But the truth is he doesn't want to deal with certain administrative things at the office or with certain decision making at the office or whatever. But the wife is imposing that on him because she's like, you lead at home, you should lead here, right? And that's not fair to him. Maybe he's a sales guy and out there he just wants to be talking to customers, not sitting there. You see what I'm saying? And so it's important that we also separate those roles at home. It doesn't matter your role at home, whether you're the mom or you're the dad, you're the leader or you're the person who cooks at home or whatever you do at home. When it comes to business, let each person function in the area where they're strong. Don't impose something on them just because that's what they do at home.
I mean, it is okay for you still respect your husband as the head of the family at home, and you are the CEO in the business, and he's okay with that too.
Yes, and he's okay with that too. Yes,
and he follows your lead. I mean, I've provided consulting with so many businesses, and I've gone to a business where the wife is HR because she's good with people.
Yes.
Gone to another business where the wife is the CEO and the husband is just the public facing person.
Yeah. Yes.
But when it comes to the brain of the business, is the wife.
Yes.
But the husband deals with contracts, negotiations. Any other thing the guy says, talk to my wife.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the family is doing so great financially.
Yes.
Making names and expanding the business because they understand that, hey, you know what? The husband is so one time I was talking to my wife and I said, I noticed that you see things from an angle that I don't see. And I said, I think you do that because her background is law. And I said, I think it's helping you see things I don't see.
Yes.
And she was surprised. So yes, because she looks up to me a lot. Praise God for that. But I also said, look, there are some things I've noticed that they say when you look at things that I don't see things that way.
Yes.
So there are some things I bounce at her because I know that she will see something that I will not.
Yes. A very different perspective.
There's a way she looks at life. There's a way she look at angles and situations. Okay, it's to my advantage. You see that? So it really helps a lot. Now we have 5 minutes to go. Funny enough. That's so let's address some questions from the people. Incredible questions. Thank you again, everybody who is here. Please leave us a comment where you're joining us from. Let us give you a presidential shout out here. All right. Thank you again, Leonard, for your question. Leonard asks a question. In the case of a limited liability business venture, how does the limited liability avail the properties that belong to the couple? All right.
That's actually a very interesting question. So there are a couple of things here, and I think maybe because of how he worded it. When you have properties that you've probably owned before you set up a business entity, it's up to you if you want to bring it into your business or not. Now, what makes a company or a business a limited liability is the protection that it has, in the sense that if you or your spouse were sued, you will not be personally liable for that lawsuit. That means if someone came for you, the person can only come for what's in the business. So there's a limited liability that it ends in the business, unless, there was such, a catastrophic action of yours that you personally will be held liable. But if something happened in the course of you operating in your normal business activities and someone sued you, they can only come for what's in your business. So if your business only has $30, that's all they are coming for. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, so in terms of, you say, how does it avail properties that belong to the couple? I would always say it's good to keep, unless the business is using the properties, but if you had properties you had acquired before going into business, you can always keep that separate, because now you're exposing your property to liabilities, right? Where someone sued you, now they can come for what you guys own personally, outside, versus if you had kept it off, then they can only come for what you own in the business. I know the business might not have been, the question might not have been fully, I don't know, put together, but if that's what I'm picking up, I would say if you have properties that are outside of your business, just keep it that way. Let it be personal, and let your business acquire its own assets. If it has to use your personal assets, it can rent it. You rent it, right? But that way you keep it protected, you keep it separate. Nobody can touch your stuff in the case of a lawsuit.
Definitely. And I think this question is also in the context of Cameroon. And I can also get the sense of that question in the sense that in a typical Cameroon, I've heard stories from Nigeria and other African countries where, they don't have strong institutions, especially the judicial system and, and the other systems. So people can use even though you run a limited liability company and they sue your company or things go wrong in the business, people can use their political influence, for example, and come after your personal properties, even though your properties are separate from business. Right? So that happens a lot. So sometimes in like in Cameroon and even Nigeria, sometimes limited liability is that it's not like in the US where it's a strong institution where it doesn't matter who you bring. The law will protect your properties and you can only take the business properties, right? But it's the same that you explain in the Cameroon context. The law states that if you are registered as a limited liability company, you have proper structures. And that brings us to one session we had one time where you emphasized a lot on separating, personal finance, business finance, and all of that. So that when things like this are coming, your good books can clarify and differentiate that, hey,
absolutely,
this is company's account, you can do whatever I want here. But as far as my family is concerned, my finances are concerned,
it stays on this side.
It stays on this side, right? So I think that really answers the question. All right, the last question as we round up from Family Man is, I know you have shared many examples, but maybe you would like one more example again. Are there any examples in your life that reflect from vows to ventures? If there are, how effective does it work for you?
Oh my God, this is a good one. So I would start by saying one of the things that my husband and I got really well was clarity on the purpose of our relationship. That and all of this happened even before we started dating. We already knew who we were as individuals. I am very aware of who I am as a person and why God put me here. And same with him, very aware of who he is and where he's headed. So while we were even friends, and because we both love structure, we held meetings. Like if he had something to tell me about his businesses or something, we would hold meetings. Same with me. And I think once we decided to come together, one of the things we wanted clarity on, so what is it that God wants to accomplish by God bringing us together? I mean, this is us. We grew up as kids. We're childhood sweethearts, lost contact for 30 years. And here we are back and now in love. What does God want to accomplish through us? And whatever we're setting up, how do we make sure that we are aligned with what God wants to accomplish through us? And so with us being able to create that, one of the things that we do is at the start of every year, we look at that big picture, which is the purpose of our family, that vision, and then we craft the goals for the year. And then every quarter, we check in with each other to make sure that we're still aligned with what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And then not only that, we have goals as a family, but we also have individual goals. So what do? We put the family goals together. We talk about the role each of us is going to play. And then we talk about our individual goals and how we are going to support each other to accomplish it. My husband runs businesses. He also works, but he knows his strengths and he knows his weaknesses. Same with me. So I know the things that I can ask him. There are things that I just, me, Doc, I'm such a fun person. I just go, right? By the nature of him being an intelligence agent, he thinks through every single scenario. I would just go, right? So for me, I get excited, I make decisions, and I have learned that no, take your time, you can sleep over it, right? And that's why with us now, understanding each other's strengths and helping to sharpen each other, it really, really helps us. So, these are the things that I do talk about from Vows to Ventures. And I'll say something. If you see the questions I ask, the question first of all is, do we even have to do business together? And that's the mistake a lot of people make. They think they must do business together. You don't have to. You guys can still be so good at your individual spaces that you have separate businesses, but you support each other, right? And so I don't want everyone to always think that, we have to work together. No. And there's some people who are just like, I don't really think business is for me, but I can support you as my spouse. I can hold the family down while you build. And so for us, with this understanding of our vision, it helps us now to craft our goals for every year. Every quarter we check in. It helps us to know where we can support each other to continue to grow. We know the example that we want to set for our kids. We know the books that we want them to read. We know what schools we want them to go to, because we know that if we're going to leave a legacy, this is what we want it to be. Right? Our motto in our home is family first. That's our one thing. It's family first. So any decision we make, if it doesn't put family first, we're failing. And so we make sure that if we're deciding on business, we're deciding on work, we're deciding on finances, it's family first. And that has just, if you go to our website, you read a lot more about just some of those things that we shared. So yes, Family Man, this is really something that I live myself. And thankfully, having worked with so many couples, I knew that it was time to create something that can benefit the bigger good, because there are so many beautiful couples out there that just struggle to run a business. And I think the foundation first must be right. Know who you are, why you're here, what your purpose is, so that when you're blessed enough to meet your spouse, it becomes easier for you to know why God brought you together. And so anything you build from that point on is aligned with what God wants to accomplish through you. That was one. Yes.
That was good. That was good. Awesome. We come to the end of this day one of this Vows to Venture special broadcast, launch, webinar, masterclass, what have you, because it is all in one, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. You can still order the book on Amazon. Please, when you order, leave a review about the book. I'm sure just after listening to Dr. Lilly for the last few minutes, you can know that you're going to have the best of the best from that particular book. We are meeting here tomorrow, same time, 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central Time, 8:30 GMT +1, and so on, depending on where you are. And we look at part 2 of this, where I will dive deep into more technical stuff that everybody needs to get into, like choosing the right business structure for couples, tax strategies for couples. We'll come back to hiring your kids a bit, and there's a whole book on how to hire your kids on that. So also get it on Amazon, how to balance, love and all the money issues, and many other things that they will help you a lot as a couple in building a family that can thrive financially, impact driven, and why not very influential in your community. All right, people, we end here. We are above time, and I'm sure Dr. Lee had a good time talking to us. All right, any last words?
It was so good. Oh yes, oh my goodness. So for anyone that gets to watch this even later, it doesn't matter where you are. I think it's so important for you to realize that God wants to accomplish so much more through your marriage, so much more. But it's even more important for you to make sure that you and your spouse are on the same page, in the sense that if you want to do business, or if you want to start a nonprofit, make sure that you and your spouse get together. And one way that you can get this kind of clarity is by getting a book like mine, where I give you guys a lot of questions that you can ask yourselves. I give you a lot of tools that you can leverage to know, hey, if God wanted to do much through us, if it's through business, if it's through a nonprofit, how do we know that this is what we're supposed to be doing? And once you gain that kind of clarity, I will tell you, you will start to enjoy your union in a way that you've never done before. There's a level of fulfillment that comes from living that life of purpose as a married couple that cannot be compared with anything. Yes, you're going to have your storms, but it changes the way you approach it. It changes the way you see each other. It even changes how you love each other, because now you start to see that there's so much more that we want to accomplish as a unit, and you start to honor each other's gifts, each other's strengths, and you see where your partner is weak, and you're so ready to step up and support them, because you know that this collective effort is going to have the most rewarding return on your investment, all to the glory of God. So for anyone who watches this, anyone who gets this book, I just want you to know that there's so much that God wants to do through your union, and you can let him. Grab the book, start from there, and I promise you, it's not only going to transform your business, but it will transform your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody, that is it for today. Please get on Amazon and order the book, and it will be one of the best things that you can do as an investment move in your marriage, in your family, as a people. See you tomorrow, same time, as we look at part 2, and we get into more technical stuff.
Very technical stuff.
Strategies. All right, absolutely. All right, people. See you guys. God bless you all.